Good. Now, welcome, acolytes. I'm reacting to Your $70 Doesn't Buy You Cruelty from, I already forgot it, Mark Darach on Games. Yes, I re-recorded the beginning because I was way too positive with him at the start, and I just didn't like it. So this is the time that I'm actually gonna do this, but as it is, let's start. And just by the way, for those who are interested, after counting 60 cuts in the video, I stopped counting, so it doesn't make anything. And I don't know where I recognize this from what acolytes, but I think this is a negative sign. I don't know why. But okay, let's just start. And yeah, the intro is a bit longer because, as I said, it's a reaction. It's just for F's sake.
Did you read the title? Did it say something like "Your $70 doesn't buy you cruelty"?
Initially, yes.
Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. The fact that you bought a game that you didn't like doesn't give you the right to be cruel or unkind to the people that developed that game. Now, I'm going to be clear about something. I'm not saying...
You know what? Even right now, after he says it that way, no. Actually, no. I disagree with that. Not because in the context that he's probably speaking, the only video game developers that I know of that actually get this much thrown at their face, this much cruelty, are freaking developers that actually went in the comments and just wrecked on their fan base. And those people deserve cruelty.
That you have to like the thing you bought. I'm not saying even that you aren't allowed to complain about the thing you bought. You can have whatever opinion that you feel like towards a game. Even
clearly not. I mean,
if that opinion is stupid and wrong, you are entitled to that opinion.
Okay, there it is. Now I know what to attack. Nope. This passive-aggressive bollocks, okay, he's one of those. He's gonna defend those pieces of
and to some degree, you're entitled to express that opinion to the corporation, to the video game studio that created this game that you bought. You paid 70 of your own dollars for this game, and it disappointed you. And you're angry about that.
Correct.
That is fine. You are entitled to be angry about it. And you're entitled to express that anger in certain channels. If you are mad at that Ubisoft...
Nope, it's not true. Because if you express your anger in the Ubisoft channel, as this guy is just probably wanting to argue, then you get banned. So you cannot express it. And at that point...
game, be mad at Ubisoft. Express your anger to Ubisoft or to the studio that made the game. But you cross a line when you start being cruel about it. So why am I saying you don't get to be cruel because you spent $70? Let's walk through it. 1, you shouldn't be cruel at all. What are you doing? It's a video game. You don't need to go out of your way to cause harm to other people because of a video game that you don't like.
He's associating being cruel to someone with harm. I think we have the different definitions of being cruel here. Because in my case, being cruel is actually something where you constantly go after someone just to crush the person. But there is a certain constant. If somebody makes one comment, then it's a bit of a different story. And yeah, that's that. But it's not harming anyone. It may, like, harming is just something way above this. It's way above this, in my opinion.
Again, I'm not saying you're not allowed to be angry about it. I'm not saying you don't get to express your dissatisfaction with the content of the game that you're not enjoying. But when you climb into someone's personal social media and start actively attacking that person, when you celebrate layoffs at a studio because the game that you don't like didn't do that well, you're crossing a line into...
Why? Why? People who delivered a bad game that I paid for, and by the way, you don't always have the possibility of giving it back, of getting your money back. So if you buy something bad, most of the time you stick with it. And no, just because you think that it's cruel to be freaking happy that the people that just scammed you got fired, yeah, I don't know in which world you live, but no, this in which we normal people live is a bit more harsh than your fairy tale of a world. And no, just, and even the start, if somebody attacks their fan base and paints a broad, how is it called? A broad painting about everyone and says that every single one who disagrees with them is a Nazi, is a pedo, is wrong about everything, or just like you just said, has a stupid opinion, then no, fuck him. They are open to be attacked. I don't advocate for it, but they are opening themselves to being attacked.
To being cruel. And fundamentally, you should have more grace for other human beings. But if you're not
lead by example, not by bitching about it.
buying that, let's go on to point 2. You don't know what caused the results that you don't like.
And by the way, this is the guy that actually passive-aggressively bitched about it from the start. So, yeah, thank you. Good
Let's
job.
go through an example. Let's say that you don't like the line delivery on a piece of dialogue. Is that the fault of the voice actor? It might be, but it could be a lot of other things too. It might be the fault of the person who was directing that voice actor. Maybe they were given very specific instructions to deliver the line in this particular way. Maybe the writer who wrote that line wanted it delivered in this particular way, and the stage direction specified this particular line delivery. Maybe the recording equipment at the voice studio went down, and the only
for F's sake, I think I'm gonna count the cuts after this, because this is freaking brutal. For F's sake, I mean, I understand that you have sometime in commentary videos or videos like this some cuts, but this is effed up. Wait, I'm looking for a stift. Okay, I'm gonna count the cuts.
take they managed to get was this first one that was done just to set the tone, and they were just kind of out of time and stuck with it. So if you go and you start attacking the voice actor for a line delivery you don't like, it might not be them at all. It might be something else. Indeed, it might not be the line delivery at all. Maybe the problem was the writing. So should you go attack the writer? Well, no, because why was the line written in this way? Was it written this way because the writer had a specific thing they were trying to say? Maybe. Maybe it was written this way because there was incredibly tight time pressures due to other externalities on their time. Maybe the direction of the game changed radically 3 months ago, and they had to rewrite this entire character in just 3 months. And you're just getting the first draft of that writing. Maybe.
What he's strawmanning, exaggerating it pretty badly, because at the end of the day, I'm gonna say this, acolytes, nobody will attack a line or a freaking voice actor just because they fucked up a line. Because in the end of the day, everybody understands that if this happens once, it's fine. But if this voice actor then starts to attack you because he fucked up, that's the problem. And this is the context he's missing. Because he's just saying hypotheticals that most of the time just aren't true. Yes, there are some psychos everywhere, but most of the time, no. This isn't how this works. As I said, exceptions exist, but not like this. And by the way, he already had in the last minute 4 cuts. Just saying.
The lead writer wanted this character to be in a specific way, and it constrained what the writer was able to do while they were writing this character. Maybe the creative director on the project had specific goals that they had in mind, and they were pushing the writing in a particular way, or restricting how much leeway the writers had in order to express their vision on what the game was able to do or be. Maybe the executive producer, all of these people reporting up into the executive producer, decided that this game should be different in tone and was pushing the game direction in a different way. Or maybe the leadership of this project changed 6 times and the direction changed 6 times, and you're getting little bits of writing from each of these different directions, and there was never adequate time to step back and rewrite it. Maybe the CEO of the entire company really wanted his nephew to be hired as a script consultant. And this guy with literally 0 experience was coming in and pushing for mandatory changes to the project.
Yeah.
How realistic are all the things I just said? Some of them are incredibly realistic. Some of them not so realistic, but I've seen things that look an awful lot like all of the things I just said. So when you decided to personally attack that one specific person on social media, how certain are you that it was their fault, that they are responsible for that thing that you don't like?
The thing about responsibility is that you don't have to be at fault. You just have to take over the responsibility. Because it was your damn job to look at it properly, act accordingly, so it doesn't come out this way. And I know, acolytes, a lot of people, a lot of bosses are saying, but yeah, this was just a little mistake, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but people suffered under you. You motherfucker, decided that somebody that could have been good got bad. F you for that. And I'm talking from personal experience. Because I am leading a team right now, acolytes. And I also did it a lot of times before. And one thing that was constant is the following. I own up to my freaking mistakes. Every single one of them. And I try to correct every single one of them. And I have the best fucking running team in there. Just because I take responsibility, I try to fix things if they go awry, and I never blame other people for my mistakes. For the things that I am responsible for. Even if they fuck up, I'm gonna explain it to them. How they fuck up, why they fucked up, and that, depending on the situation, of course, but most of the times, it's just, my tactic is to go to the person and be like, you made a mistake, now think about it, how this mistake happened. And most of them, 99% of them, after the first time, never happens again. After the second time, basically guaranteed. Because it can happen. You can repeat mistakes sometimes. Sometimes you're just tired or doing stuff. The essence of the thing is, because I ranted a bit, the essence of the thing is, don't blame your responsibility on others. You're there to actually do the correct thing, to guide people to do the correct thing. And acolytes, this is how I personally lead, like a wolf, not like a gorilla. And you might say, hey, why a wolf? Just look up how wolves in the wild lead. They don't have a alpha, basically, or they have a patriarch, or just say it like that, like the father figure, that actually leads the entire pack by themselves. They don't have to be cruel. They have to be strong, but not cruel. And go out and do. And gorillas, well, they just fuck shit up. Simple as that.
And I'm going to tell you right now, you shouldn't be certain, because you don't know exactly what was going on within the project.
With that logic, you don't know exactly what the commenter that was cruel to the people is going through right now. Because you don't. Maybe the person just lost their 5 months income because they can buy one game every 5 months. And your game just fucked this one up. It's not an excuse to be, well, extremely toxic. But it's a reason that I understand.
You don't know the exact circumstances that resulted in that thing you didn't like. Even people who were on the project aren't always going to be absolutely certain on who is responsible for something being exactly a particular way. These projects have hundreds of people on them. Content moves around between multiple people. Unless I am the person who is actually responsible for something being a certain way, that chain of custody isn't always going to be super obvious to me. And all of this isn't to say that you aren't allowed to have your own opinions, to not like the things you don't like. It's specifically to point out that you being angry at a specific person, you attacking a specific person, is often misdirected. If you...
Then say it like this. This makes more sense. Yes. This is the only thing by now that I agree with. Okay, the second thing. But for fuck's sake, then say it like this. Don't dance around like a preacher around everything you're saying, and don't create strawmans. Because actual good messages go down. And they just don't get heard. And I know I'm not the best at it right now, but I'm freaking trying my best. And you, mofo, let's just give me a second, acolytes. Bloop 3, 6, 9, 10, 3, 6, 9, 20. 23 cuts. 20 freaking 3 cuts right now. Just for F's sake. I'm already ashamed when I have 3 in my videos because somebody called me over.
Feel like you're just not getting the satisfaction from yelling at the corporate Twitter channel
24?
Or yelling at the studio directly. If you feel like you need to focus it down onto an actual human being, I mean, that's really
35?
sad. I'm sorry. That's very sad. And hopefully you can grow beyond that. But I will give you a couple of outlets. If you need to complain at a human being,
36.
I'm going to say you don't get to go lower than the first person in the credits. You can go higher than that, but no lower than that. The first person in the credits is the person who was, theoretically at least, in charge of the project. They are the person where at least some of the responsibility is going
Hey, fair enough.
to lie. Now, did they have full control over what was going on in the project? No, because you could still have the CEO of the company forcing them to use his stupid nephew as a script consultant. But at the very least, they were in charge of the project for a somewhat significant percentage of the time. So if you are mad about Anthem and we look at the credits, no shit, that's me. But yeah, if you feel like you need to yell at somebody for the way that Anthem is.
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna make a cut at the start. I was way too positive at the start. You're one of the freaking mofos that actually just wanted to scam people out of their money, just push your political view at them, and they'll be like, no, I'm the poor victim.
It's much better to be yelling at someone like me, who was theoretically in charge of the project, or at least in charge of the...
You were in charge. Yes, there are people higher than you, but you're still in charge. You accepted it.
Project for some of the development time than yelling at someone who was working on the combat or the level design or whatever. Because again, you don't know exactly what their reality was. when I was an executive producer.
For F's sake, as I said, the context matters. If the guy that actually did that went out and attacked other people, then I don't care if he freaking did the combat, if he did the animation for the freaking toes. If he attacks others, he attacks others. I don't care. And from what I see, people get attacked that attack others. So I don't care.
I
so I
paid
don't know what you're
pretty
talking
well.
about.
And to some degree, from my perspective, some of that compensation was to act as a lightning rod for this negative discourse. It's one of the reasons why I think it is an executive producer's responsibility to have a social media presence. Because some of you, if you're still watching, will play a game and be angry about it and need to yell at a human being. And I think one of the executive producers'
And now, no, simply no. You don't need a social media presence. Just shut the fuck up, make a good game, and then everything's fine. You will get literally showered with everything positive and nice if you just make a good game. That's all we want. And you don't need a social media presence as a CEO or something like that. You need someone who actually knows their shit and gets paid well for actually doing this social media stuff and knows how to navigate it. But most of people that think like you are freaking dumb as F and attack every single person that just tries to criticize them. Not even attacking them. Already criticism, hey, I think that this stuff looks a bit differently, banned. Yeah. And yes, of course people are gonna get mad. And if you're this weak, well,
responsibilities is to protect his team. And part of protecting his team is providing that lightning rod. If you don't provide that lightning rod, then people who need to vent are going to find places to vent. We live in a social media world. Many people have some form of social media presence. If you, as the most senior person on the project, don't have a social media presence, then people are going to go and find someone else. Someone who isn't paid as well as you. Someone who doesn't necessarily have the tools to protect themselves from the toxicity that is leveled at them.
How? You delete your social media account. Done. You're out of there. You don't exist anymore. You're out. How the F? I mean, you can still block people. How can't you afford blocking people? How can't you afford deleting your social media account? You can afford those things. You don't need them to survive. Or you make a different account without your name under it. Bollocks!
I would say again that you shouldn't be targeting people directly, even the executive producer. But you know what? If you feel the need, the higher up in the organization you go, the more I'm going to say have at her. As you get beyond the executive producer and you get up into studio leadership and group leadership and the C-suite and the person in charge of the entire corporation, they share responsibility in the game you don't like being the way that it is. So if you feel the need to yell at them, again, probably don't.
I'm gonna agree with him on that one. If you like, go attack the highest of the highest, then it's fine. Yeah. Well, it's not fine. I mean, I still think it's not something you should do. But before you attack someone that actually didn't have a social media presence, wasn't toxic about it, then yes, go for the leadership. So I just.
Yeah. Don't. But They're big boys and girls, so they should be able to handle it. Now, the reality is, most of those people do not have a social media presence, do not have a way that you can yell at them directly.
Correctly.
So a lot of times what I'm telling you is the least senior person you're allowed to yell at is the executive producer. And a lot of times the most senior person you're going to be able to yell at is the executive producer. So once again, the executive producer serves as a lightning rod for all this vitriol. If you feel like you're not being listened to when you complain on Metacritic or you
then the thing happens that you are talking about right now. If you ban people that are actually criticizing you, fairly criticizing you, everybody hates you. If you're banning people who are extremely toxic, like I do, nobody gives a fuck. I never heard a complaint about anyone getting banned in my channel except from the people that got banned. And why? Because I allow criticism on my channel. I even allowed the little shit that actually, because there are more of them, it's not just that my channel sucks. Okay, fair enough. It wasn't a personal attack. I draw my my freaking how's it called? Meine Grenze is when people are starting to get personal or just start to insult other people for no reason because they're just unproductive. If you start to insult people, yeah, if it's a cheeky small insult or that states actually affect, that's fine. That's actually creative. I find those funny, but yeah, do it as you wish. But if you just get rid of the toxic people and allow the people that are actually criticizing you to criticize you, then everything's fine.
Complain on the forums of a studio, or you complain into the social media channels of the publisher or the studio, be aware that this stuff is carefully scrutinized, not just by the social media teams, also by the teams themselves. Arguably, in a lot of cases, to too great of a degree. The team is listening, I would say often, too much to what you are yelling about and complaining about in these channels. But don't worry, you don't need to go onto their Twitter channel and yell at them directly, because they're going to hear it anyway. Be a human being, have some empathy, and stop being cruel. Stop throwing a party because a bunch of people lost their jobs, because you don't know the circumstances that resulted in the thing that you're mad at. People just...
No, it always goes both ways. You are celebrating when somebody gets banned for the wrong thinking, so we celebrate when you fall. Simple as that. It's a giving and taking. You give us hate, we give it back. Simple as that.
Deserve some grace,
and I don't
people
even
deserve
like it,
some empathy from you, and if you can't provide that, then stay off the internet completely. One last time for the cheap seats, you are entitled to your opinion. You are entitled to be angry about...
Clearly not, because you're arguing the entire time against it. You're preaching at us like a freaking... I didn't see this much of an effective preacher in years. This is just... effective. He's preaching like a freaking pro. So
out a game that
and I already have a dislike
you
against
paid
preachers.
Good money for it. But try to remember that it's just a game. Even more importantly, when you are expressing your complaints, stay away from cruelty. Stay away from targeting individual people. Stay away from trying to cause harm.
And this is the problem already. For F's sake, you just beforehand you said, hey, it's okay to actually target the people that are higher. Or the higher it is, the more acceptable it gets. And now you're saying, yeah, don't target the individuals. You're literally arguing one point, and the next time you're arguing against the first point, so you can claim that you said the one thing in each situation.
Stay away from celebrating harm done to actual human beings. Express your opinion to the company that made your game. Tell them...
And by the way, I agree with him that you shouldn't actually harm human beings. That's normal. And what the fuck are you meaning with, yeah, express your to the company? The company is also a bunch of people. So again, you're arguing against the point you made beforehand. It just doesn't fit.
What you like.
Maybe I don't understand something, but for F's
Tell
sake.
them what you don't like. Be specific. It will help you get games that are more like what you want. But when you are personally attacking individual devs, you are crossing a line. And you're probably attacking the wrong person anyway. Especially.
No, okay, this was a plant cat. I'm gonna not include this one. But cut. But for F's, no. It's just okay.
Special thanks to my members.
Okay, fuck you for that one. Fair enough. Acolytes. I'm gonna be honest. I have to definitively change the beginning. I was way too positive to him. But for F's sake, he's just playing the freaking little poor victim. Yeah, he had 3 points where I agree with, but no. As it is, good night.